If you have been dipping in and out of burnout cycles, then Saturn in Aries could be the biggest secret weapon for your business, or it could be the biggest curse. Let me explain. On the 24th, 25th of May, depending on where you are in the world, Saturn is going to move from the dreamy sign of Pisces into the action-orientated sign of Aries. He's going to stay there till the 1st of September, where he's then going to start moving back into the sign of Pisces. He's going to stay there till around February, and then that's him there, February 2026, and that's him there until April 2028. Now, during this little six-month window where he's in the sign of Aries, is it 6 months? Maybe. During that time, he's going to be giving you that little preview of what he's going to be wanting that area of your life to look like when he moves into the sign of Aries for good next year. So this is like a little preview of what 26 and 2027 all the way to 2028 is going to look like, yeah? In 2028, he's going to dip into probably the sign of Taurus and that. So it's broken up in 2028. Now, if you've been struggling with burnout, if you've been feeling that low energy, if you've been feeling that you've not got the motivation to move, if you've been feeling like you're constantly in and out of burnout, then this is, you might feel this intensely to begin, yeah? But the thing with Saturn is if you work with him and follow his rules, then when Saturn moves out, you will get greater rewards. So it might feel challenging, but it is worth it. So if you are in burnout, I would be thinking about like, okay, how can we make this like longer lasting so that I'm not constantly going in and out of burnout? Now, I'm going to cover about what this means for your business and what sort of things you can look at. But first off, I feel like I have to say, what is Saturn? Because if you've never watched an astrology video, then that might be, you might go like, what is it? Well, Saturn is the sign of boundaries, restrictions, challenges, hardships. But the main thing with Saturn is responsibility. He's going to give you this little bit of a reality check in that area of your life. It's a good chance for that area of your life to start to mature. It's like a fine wine. It gets better with age, yeah? Now, when Saturn is in the sign of Aries, Aries is action-orientated. Aries is childlike. He likes to run head first into things, but is bold, passionate. Bit of a leader as well, kind of like, come on, let's go. That kind of a leader. When you mix that with Saturn, there's opposing energies here. Yeah, Saturn wants you to slow down, build something that's good to last for years. Whereas Aries is a cardinal sign, which means that they're not very good at staying for things for years. They would be good at initiating, but they're not so great at holding on for the long run. So you've got this conflicting energy. Some people would say that Saturn doesn't do well in Aries, and that's absolutely correct, yeah? But you can still work with Saturn and still get the benefits of Saturn, even though he's in the sign of Aries. Yeah, it's just not as optimal conditions because Aries is that action-orientated sign that wants to go pew, pew, pew. And Saturn, on the other hand, is more like, come on, let's slow down, let's learn the lesson here so that we don't have to face it again. Whereas Aries is like, let's just get the job done. Yeah. So you need to work with the both energies. Make sure you're doing the action, but make sure there's structure and it's built to last and there's boundaries in place so that you can protect your energy, which is why I was mentioning burnout, because you're going to be wanting to put down boundaries here. You're going to be wanting to get structures and you're wanting to get systems that can alleviate burnout. Yeah. However, if you don't work with them, it's going to feel challenging. It's going to feel hard. If you were old enough in 1996, Saturn was in Aries then. It takes 30 years for Saturn to go around the whole zodiac. So that's him back where he was in 1996. So if you're old enough, look back around 1996 to 1999. What was the challenges? What were the hardships that were going on in your life back then? Because you might feel these again if you've not sorted them in that area of your life. But the difference from that time and this time is that you have Neptune with Saturn. Neptune is that planet of idealism, romanticizing, spirituality, mystical illusions. Can be a little bit deceiving as well, Neptune's all about your dreams, and Neptune wants to dissolve boundaries. Whereas Saturn, on the other hand, like we said, he wants to put boundaries down, and he wants you to be structured and build something that's built to last. Now, he's not going to stop you living your life. Yeah? So when Neptune's there making your dreams all this big and grandiose and all that stuff, Saturn's going to be like, I hear you. Yeah. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to actually put structure in place and build something that's built to last here? If so, go for it. But if this is just pie in the sky and you're not going to bother with it, then let's move on. And that's kind of a good thing, because it's going to make you go after the bigger goals. It's going to make you go after things that you're maybe not as clear on. Like we say, Aries likes to run head first thing. But this time you have to do it with a bit of a structure and a bit of a plan, with Saturn being there. So when Neptune is in Aries, it's like a warrior. Yeah? The spiritual warrior. It's about, you're going to run for these things and you might not know the exact path to do it. Neptune can cloud things, but you're going to be putting structures and boundaries down in place to help you get there. And the how will come to know as you're moving through this transit. And that can be a little bit scary for folk running into the unknown. But I feel like with this transit, Neptune being there, that's the things we can see. And Saturn, he's like, go for it. But make sure you've got a plan. Make sure you've got a structure. Make sure you've got systems. Make sure you're not running head first. Make sure you're slowing down, getting a good, proper plan, boundaries and all that stuff. So Neptune being there could be the best thing, but can cloud things. So just make sure you are going after the things that you really want here. Yeah, with whatever you want in that area of your life. And I'm going to go into the 12 signs and show you what area that's going to be hitting on your chart. But whatever you decide to work on over the next 2 years, make sure it is what you actually want. With Neptune being there, cloudy, just make sure it's what you actually want. Because with Saturn there, you can get so much benefits from it. But then with Saturn, what I think some people might do is they might think, well, I could start this, scale my coaching business to 100 grand a month, or I could start a coaching business and get it to 50 grand a month, or 10k a month, or whatever it is. I'll do that. But then I could just stay in this job because I know that I can have this, and I could try and climb the career ladder. And the thing is, Saturn's about building legacy. It's about building, if it's in one of the wealth houses, it's not just building wealth, it's building generational wealth here. It's building legacy. Yeah? So just watch, because I think that there could be a little bit of wanting to play it safe and make it comfortable. Whereas you've got this energy that's rare. Yeah? Neptune's in a sign for 14 years. We're only ever going to see her once in the sign of Aries in our life. Yeah? So if you feel like you're dreaming these things, well, she's in Aries, this is your time to say, okay, I hear you. Yeah, because Neptune tends to show up more in the dreams, the sort of stuff that when Neptune's playing our games, yeah, they tend to come to you in dreams, they tend to come to you in, it could be daydreams as well. So if you're getting a dream for something around this time, think to yourself, how can I do this, but how can I do it slow and steady? Because that's going to be working with Saturn. Now, as well as that, we have two positive aspects. One from Pluto in Aquarius, which is all about death, rebirth, emotions, your deepest fears, where you get your power from. He's a builder. He's just like Saturn. Yeah? So when he makes a sextile to Saturn, which is going to be a lengthy sextile, then you're getting support between these two planets. You're getting the support to build something new, and you're getting the support from Saturn to do it so it's long lasting. The other planet to mention is Uranus. Uranus is moving into the sign of Gemini in July, and that is going to create a sextile between Uranus and Saturn. Again, same sort of aspect. This time you've got the planet of shocks, surprises, breakthroughs, independence, rebellion, and he's known as the Great Awakener. So this is like you waking up to those dreams, the big lofty dreams, and being like, yes, I can do this. I fucking can do this. I've got this. Yeah? And you've got these supportive energies working with Saturn. All that's left is for you to work with Saturn. Now, astrology is not magic. Yeah? It's not going to make you wake up and wanting to make you do everything that you have to do. Yeah, you might feel challenges, you might feel restrictions, the energy might feel off and that sort of stuff, but you have choices and you have free will. Yeah? So when it comes to Saturn, you've got the choices to slow down, make sure you're being responsible, make sure you've got the reality, make sure you're taking that reality check, making sure you're putting down boundaries, making sure there's structure, making sure there's systems. You can do all that. Yeah? Or you can choose to ignore it. And this is when you are going to feel Saturn. You're going to feel Saturn, especially if you ignore it. Because there'll be tests along the way to make sure you're not ignoring it, to make sure you are putting the structures, to show you where you need boundaries, to show you where you need structure in your life and your business. So you have these choices. Saturn's not out to get you. So just remember that. But the worst thing you could do is sit there and think, oh, I've not bought this. This is the scariest thing ever. I can't do this. Like, that is the worst thing you can do, because you will not go use this amazing energy that you've got with Saturn and Aries. Like, it is amazing. You've got so much support. You've got Neptune right beside you, making you want to go after those big dreams. See it as a positive here. Yes, it is challenging. It is wanting to be the most earthy of signs. I don't know. It's wanting you to be practical here. It's wanting you to be grounded. It's wanting you to be down to earth. Yeah? In a certain area of your life, which when we do the 12 signs shortly, we will look into that. Now, like I said, for your business, if you're constantly in and out of burnout, this is about building systems. Systems that are built to last. Putting boundaries down to protect your energy so you're not constantly in and out of burnout. Putting systems in place to help your business grow without your effort. Yeah? Saturn, he is a bit of a taskmaster. He wants you to get the job done. He wants you to put these things in place. But it's not about working yourself into burnout. Yeah? It's about working smart. Yeah? If you can do the job smart and it's long lasting, you're going to be in Saturn's good books. You will get the benefits of Saturn being in that area of your life. However, if you are putting, I'll just do this and I'll just do that class, taking shortcuts at every angle, you're going to feel this. It's going to feel bloody hard. So with your business, when it comes to your business, I want you to be looking at your structures. Yeah? If you're a coach and you're sitting on sales calls and you're doing all these things that are all manual processes, then you might feel it over the next 2 years. There's a lot of different systems that you can put in place that alleviate you from having to do these things over and over and over again. So again, it is about building systems and structures to make things last. If you're constantly in and out of a burnout, something is not working, something is not long lasting. Yeah? Something you need to work smarter on. The last thing that I want to cover with this is your Saturn return. If you were born with Saturn in Aries, I forgot about my tea. If you were born with Saturn in Aries, you're going to be coming round for your Saturn return. This is when Saturn returns to the place he was when you were born. It's kind of like a little check-in. Yeah? Okay, how's things been going? How have you been maturing? How responsible have you been? And that happens around the ages of 28 and 30, 58 and 60. And for anybody who's really doing well, 88 and 90. And again, if you're even better than that, every 30 years is your Saturn return. During this time, especially the first one is kind of like you've been a child, you've still been learning, you've been growing. You don't really have enough time before Saturn returns to get all his shit that he wants you to get together. So the first one, a lot of people tend to find it more challenging. Yeah? They tend to find this, which can knock them really quite a lot around the ages of 28 and 36, 28 and 30. During that Saturn return, he wants you to learn your lessons here. He wants you to work with him. And at this point, if you've got to like 28 and 30, you've maybe not even known about Saturn up until that point. So you might not have done the work to have the structures in, to have the responsibility in that Saturn wants. So it can feel challenging. It can feel like there's boundaries. It can feel like there's all this stuff. It can feel like there's just slowing down and that things are restricted and that there's limitations. And it can feel like that for a lot of areas of your life. So just be aware of that if you are Saturn and Aries in your natal chart and that's coming around again. Now we're going to jump into the 12 zodiac signs so you can see where this is going to be impacting on your chart. Now this is for rising sign, but you can watch for your sun and your moon sign as well because it might give you some and more information here as well. So you can watch for them as well. If you're watching this and you're like, okay, I want to start to work with this energy. I want to make sure that my business is built to last. I want to make sure that I'm able to scale my business without Saturn throwing a hissy fit. Then go down into my description and book an intensive with me and let's look over what's been going on in your business so that we can make sure you've got the structure. Or if you're like, I just want to see where Saturn is actually in my chart, I want to dive into my chart so I can start to work with this energy because you maybe don't know where he is, then come down and book an intensive as well. And we can walk through that. So you can use not just Saturn's energy, but all the different energies that you've got going on in your chart that are your natural stuff, yeah? That's down in the description, so go and check that out. But let's get into the 12 zodiac signs. Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is what Saturn has for you. So we're moving into your first house. This is like your identity, your how you show up in the world. It's your body, it's your physical appearance. And Saturn's going to be there bringing responsibility, helping you mature in that area. I like to say this is like a fresh start for you, Aries. It's the best way to accomplish things in this time is to take small baby steps and focus on maturing. Focus on being more responsible with your body, with your identity. A lot of people, when Saturn is moving through their first house, they can feel like it's like an identity sort of shift, and that's what you might feel because Saturn's bringing more responsibility. He's really trying to mature you in that area of your life. So you will feel more personal responsibility for the things you're doing, for the boundaries you're setting. You really want to make sure you're protecting your energy. You're using boundaries to do that. There's maybe times where you have to step into that role and be like, I need to take the lead here. And it might feel uncomfortable, Aries, but for you, that's going to be the best way forward because it's showing you taking responsibility. It's showing you taking, responsibility in your role there. Saturn does rule the bones, the structure, the teeth. So you might notice things in these sort of things. You might notice if you just watch your health around your bones, around your teeth, around your the structures of the body. Yeah, if you feel like if you break a bone or something, like be more structured about how you look after that around this time. And it comes down to like this, with it in this placement, you might see like how others see you. You might start to be more structured, more disciplined in that way. You might feel restrictions about the way you choose to show up. And you might feel like you're restricted at this time with that. This is the main bit here is strong personal boundaries, strong foundations in your core. Yeah, if you've been dealing with things with wounds or anything, this is the time to shift them. This is the time to integrate that shadow. This is the time to do that stuff. One thing I will say is like things like wounds and fears and all that stuff might resurface. Just be careful with escapism. With Neptune being there, that is really a thing. And that could be escapism through substances, through substances is probably the main one for that area of life. It could be like through sex, through other things, through just solitude even, but just make sure that you're not escaping reality because it feels uncomfortable or it feels hard, or this is a good time if you want to like go on a health journey or weight loss or anything like that. If you've got Saturn in the first house, it's a good time to do that. For your business, this is a good time to really refine your personal brand. What do you want people to see you like outside? You might want to upgrade your personal brand to reflect that identity shift that Saturn is putting you through during this time. Your message, your current message might be different by the end of this transit. And that's okay. So you're working at refining that message through this time to make sure that you're attracting the right people into your business at this time. One thing to be careful, especially just now because Chiron is in Aries as well, you might not feel deserving of the things you've got. You might not feel deserving of your body. You might not feel deserving of the people in your life. You just might not feel like you deserve what you've got. Yeah, and I think around this time, you really need to watch that wound and deal with that. Now, obviously, your rising sign is the way that you've been formed throughout childhood and stuff like that. So it could be childhood wounds that maybe pop up around this time for you to deal with them in a structured and responsible way. Maybe therapy around this time could be a good thing for you, but that is to make you a stronger person. So don't try and just escape or suppress because you don't want to deal with these things. This is your time to deal with these things so you can move on. And when you deal with these things, that is what's going to make your branding more powerful. That is what's going to make your messaging so much stronger. So that's taking that long term, building something long lasting here. Your personal brand should be with you till the day you die. Yeah. So like make sure you're really taking that time to drill down on what that message is. What does your branding actually look like? The physical brand as well, not just the stories and stuff like that, but refining the stories you tell, being a little bit more vulnerable, even if it's scary around this time, is definitely the way to look at this. And when it comes to showing up in content, how are you showing up in content? Are you showing up like the leader or are you showing up like everybody else? This is about stepping into that authentic expression of you, Aries. And again, just remember, really, really protect your boundaries, Aries. Taurus, Sun, Moon, Horizon, we are moving into your 12th house. And this is a hard house for an astrologer and for yourself probably as well to even notice this because it's the hidden, it's the bits that are unseen, it's the parts of yourself that you keep locked down. There could be old fears or old patterns coming from the roots at this point that are like, yeah, you've still not dealt with these, by the way. We're just showing you what this feels like so that you can deal with it around this time. And the best way when I like to deal with these things when Saturn is in the mix is to be more structured, is to be more disciplined, is to not just like polish it over so that it's dealt with for this little moment, is to think about it with that long term. I don't want this to keep on resurfacing every time Saturn is in Aries. Now, that might only be once or twice in your life, but you don't, like, there's other things that could come through you that could bring these wounds to the surface again. So you don't want them to keep on coming up. And Saturn certainly doesn't want you to keep them coming up. He wants you to deal with these so that you can say, right, that's that part of my life. We've dealt with it. Right? We're looking at the patterns that maybe came from this, and we're starting to look at it, right? How are these serving me? Are they no longer serving me? Because if they're no longer serving you, cut them out. Yeah, that's what this is all about at this time, and it's about bringing you more responsibility in those subconscious patterns, the unconscious patterns, the one you do instinctively. You might find around this time that you want more spirituality in your life. You might want to learn you might start to learn some new spiritual practices. You might start to restructure your inner world. And one thing that is common is solitude. Yeah. Like, and a sign like if it was in your first house, you'd be more focusing on the outer projection, but this time it's about the inner. And that does require solitude where you need that little bit of time and space to be able to do the inner work and to be able to move on. And I would say that around this time, like creating these little periods of time in your life for solitude, for you to do that inner work and for you to do the reflections, deal with any unconscious patterns that you've got going on. If you're doing any secrecy, if you've got any secrets, or if you're avoiding anything or escaping reality, then this might come. Like, this might come to the forefront around this time. You could learn things from other people as well that you maybe didn't know that are now coming to the surface. Avoidance, if you're avoiding things that are just uncomfortable, then you probably find out about that around this time as well. One thing to be careful with spirituality is to make sure that you've got spiritual boundaries in place as well, because again, Saturn's all about long lasting, and if you've not got the right boundaries, or if you're constantly giving your energy to other things, then that could become a problem over the time. I think with Saturn and Neptune together, like Neptune's all about dreams, yeah? So she's all about bringing, like, making you react, not making you react, making you act to your dreams, bringing your dreams to life, really, because Saturn's there. He wants reality. He doesn't want all of it, the dreams. And I think with Saturn and Neptune together, we could start to see more emphasis on using dreams as a structure too around this time for you, Taurus. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I would start to, like, keep a dream journal, and I would start to do all this stuff and really look into your dreams throughout this time, and start to see how you can use these, because Neptune will be very active in there for you, yeah, because she rules the dreams. So if there is like more lucid dreaming or whatever's going on in your dreams, you want to be taking a journal of notes and try and, like, use ChatGPT, decode these and see what they're actually trying to tell you. I've had dreams where, like, there's been in a train station, which is all about transition and moving into different parts of your life. And knowing these things and taking a little bit more time to look into these, I would never have known that, yeah, unless I did that. So I would say around this time, it's a good time to do things like that. One thing to watch out for is you might not feel worthy around this time. You might not feel worthy of taking up space. You might be scared to be more vulnerable. See this as a time to clean blind spots, yeah? If you are feeling any not enoughness or not worthy, or you don't want to be vulnerable, that's the time to do this. But it's also to, like, if you see, if people can see things that are telling you things that are blind spots to you, really take them on board and really, like, how can I alleviate these? If these people are seeing it, then I can't see it, then that's something to really work on. I think for you, grounded spirituality, yoga, meditation, EFT, these sort of things that are really getting you into the body from that subconscious, that could be a really good thing around this time. Also, charity work. This house is all to do with charity work, and I would say I wouldn't go in and start, oh, I'm going to start giving to charity, do it for a couple of months and then stop. Yeah, this is about creating structure and boundaries to your charity efforts. Yeah, if you're going to, like, I'm going to set up a direct debit, I'm going to give that money every single month, I'm going to give that money every quarter, whatever it is. But you're going to do that consistently over the time, yeah? And that's giving back to your community or giving back to that cause. That would be a good thing to do around this time as well. And then if you have got any addictions, this is a time to really look at dealing with them. Not only for your own health and mental health, but with Saturn there, you are really supported around this time. And it's not going to be easy. There's going to be bits that are hard, and that's part of it. Do you know what I mean? But you have to, that would be a good time to tackle this. Now, when it comes to your business around this time, one thing I would be looking at is your content. When it comes to telling stories, how deep are you going? Are you creating a connection, an emotional connection, a deep connection with your audience? Like, these wounds, the vulnerabilities, once you're starting to, that is your way of being vulnerable with your potential clients, with your potential audience, and that lets them form that deeper connection with you. Now, the 12th house isn't about deeper connections with other people, it's about your connection to the greater, yeah? Your connection to the things outside of this reality. But I think that focusing, when it comes to something quite grounded or quite practical in that, like a business, then I think focusing on deepening your content, like maybe taking a spiritual take in your content as well, would be good around this time. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. For you, we're moving into your 11th house. This one is all to do with your friends. Yeah, your the groups you're a part of, your communities, and your social networks, more social networks than your communities, but the groups you're a part of, the causes you stand for, your goals, your aspirations in life. And I think with Saturn moving through there, Gemini, you're going to be redefining a lot of your friends and your networks, looking at things that maybe no longer serve you. I would say over this one, when it comes to friends, are these long-lasting friends? Are they in there for the long haul? Can you imagine yourself being friends with these people in 10 years? Then they're the kind of friendships you want to cultivate. But you need to invest into these friendships too. Yeah? Don't just think, oh, well, we're friends, we see each other, we do this, we do that. It's about taking that active role here, that Saturnian active role, where you're really investing and making sure there's structure and there's boundaries around that relationship with friends. Yeah, but you can't do that for everybody. And this is what I mean. I think you will maybe see friends that are maybe not as strong or not as a mature relationship. They might fall away around this time. But the ones that you choose to invest your own time into, these ones will strengthen. And I love that. Yeah, I think that's awesome. You might also feel that with your networks that you're a part of as well. Like if you're on a certain social network just for like wasting time, you might start to feel around this time that you're like, it's not really serving me now. And you might take a more mature take to that during this time. You might also see yourself, if you've mainly done one-to-one work in your business, then you might find yourself wanting to do like a group program this time, instead of being one-to-one. That would be very long-lasting, and Saturn would definitely reward that. Even if it feels uncomfortable, like it might even be some other sort of group leadership, but I think group leadership is a thing around this while Saturn's going through there. Like I said to you, it's all about substance. It's not about popularity anymore. Yeah, if you think of like we said at the start of this video, Aries is the childlike, yeah, but Saturn is all about long-lasting. Yeah, he's the grandfather, if you like. So it's about maturing rather than popularity at this point. Aries may be wanting that popularity, but Saturn's going to teach you lessons to make sure you're maturing and making that area of your life responsible. So another thing that could crop up around this time is like activism and collective efforts, the things you do for society. These sort of things might crop up, and it might be to bring structure to how you interact with these things. Again, it could be that you're taking that leadership role around this time, Gemini. And one thing when it comes to this is to like be like, if you stand for this, truly stand for it. Don't just like dip your toes in a little bit. Yeah, long lasting. If you really don't support that for a lengthy period of time, then that might be something that you maybe need to just like, well, it's part of my life, but maybe I'm just not going to make it a major part of my life. Or maybe it's time to go completely. When it comes to social media, you want to be making sure that you're really focusing on one platform, unless you've got a team, and then you can maybe look at like other parts. But if you're on your own and you've got a one-person business or a coaching business that's one person, then around this time, stick to one platform. Yeah, you might have like YouTube and Instagram, or a blog and Instagram. They're kind of two platforms and two different kinds of platforms, because one's a loyalty platform and one's a social media platform. So the social media platforms, I would limit to just one platform. If you're Gemini rising, because this Saturn's going through there, and to be structured and to be responsible and to do all that stuff on multiple different platforms is a job in itself. Do you know what I mean? So I would definitely focus on one social media platform around this time. And one thing that might crop up again, we've got Chiron there, is that you might feel like you don't belong to that community. You might feel like you don't belong to society around this time. So if you're feeling any of these things, Gemini, definitely something to pay attention to around this time. Cancer, Sun, Moon and Rising, you're up next. And for you, this might be quite tough, Cancer. Saturn is in a square with your ascendant or your rising sign at this time when he's here. So you could feel like this is challenging, yeah, because it's one of your angles. So for you, this transit is all about mastering your authority, yeah? Really mastering your recognition, how you show up, how other people recognize you. What are you known for? And I think that comes down to, what do you really want to be known for? I think around this time as well, if you are in a job and you've maybe not made the switch to business yet, or you might feel that push, yeah? Authority figures in your job, your bosses, etc., they might start to feel challenging, which you're just like, do you know what? This is the time I need to actually just do it. I just need to say, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to start a coaching business. I'm going to start this. I'm going to do this, whatever it is. But you might feel that push around this time, Cancer, to actually make that. And I think if you are in a job, like, you could get promoted really, really fast around the next 2 years, because it is about you stepping into your authority. And if it's something that you really, really want and you're pushing for it, then I could see that happening around this time as well. With whatever you're doing though, just ask yourself first, is this long term or is it short term? Am I doing this for a quick win, or am I doing this because I want to build something long lasting? And I would say when it comes to this as well, like Aries as well is very entrepreneurial energy. So if you are thinking of starting a business, or you are thinking of doing any of that, then this is a really, really good time to be thinking about that. Just always think legacy here. And then one thing that might crop up for you, Cancer, is imposter syndrome, where you don't maybe feel worthy of the space that you're taking up. You may not feel like you are good enough, that you know enough, that sort of stuff. You might feel like a fraud to take up space, to take up your authority. And like, I have been doing marketing and sales 15 years. I've been doing astrology pretty much all my life, even though it's just more professional recently. So like, there's always that sense of imposter syndrome. It doesn't really go away. Like, there's sometimes when I'll stand up and speak about marketing and business, and I've done it for 15 years, and I'm like, am I the right person to be doing this? And absolutely you are. You are, okay? So that may be something to work on over this time. And if you're doing things to get validation, like if you're in a job and you're doing things to get validation of your boss or to try and get things, it's time to get that validation from yourself. Yeah, you'll feel that around this time as well. And if you have got a personal brand or you have got a business, then this is the time to maybe think about switching from, like, maybe more to a thought leader around this time, where you're getting known for your thoughts. Saturn has just been through your ninth house, getting all them structure and beliefs and your philosophies and stuff like that. And now he's here. This could be the time to actually step into that thought leader role with your personal brand. And again, when with your personal brand, you don't want to be going out there and doing things or putting content out just to fit in, or just to get views, or just to get likes, or not doing anything like that. If you're building that personal brand or that business or that entrepreneur thing, you really, really focus on who you serve and make sure you're solving their problems, but really speak your truth here. It's about being seen as the true you here, Cancer. Being bold, being passionate. And that comes when you build that stronger sense of self, and you've got the internal validation, and you're not seeking outside of you for the answer. And I could see during this time, these 2 years, like, you really build that responsibility, that maturity, that you will be able to say, okay, I can, I don't need other people's validation. I don't need validation from an algorithm. I don't need validation from this. I know what I do is good, and that's good enough. I'm not saying you won't feel that imposter syndrome, because I don't feel like that ever goes away. If I'm honest, I don't think it ever goes away. But when it comes, I think you just need to build that stronger sense of self here, Cancer. Okay, next up, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We are moving into your ninth house, which is all about your spiritual beliefs, your cultural beliefs, your higher beliefs. The third house is more about what you're learning. This is more about bringing meaning to that learning. More the philosopher. I think for you around this time, the biggest challenge for you is going to be, are you living what you preach? Yeah? It's very easy to learn things from books or learn things along the way that bring meaning and like seeing the bigger picture and all that stuff. But are you actually living the way that the things you've learned? Yeah. The philosophies you've learned around this time, Leo, are you actually doing that? It might make you rethink the beliefs that you've got. Yeah. Like the beliefs you've got, if they're pretty like surface level beliefs, you might start to look for more meaning. You might start to look for a deeper meaning on these beliefs. Like if I'm going to live by these, then I need to really understand what's going on. That sort of a thing, Leo, might come up. I would say that your beliefs and your philosophies might change. They might become more mature. They might get more structured around this time. If you're in education or if you're traveling, there might be delays with things, but that's again a learning opportunity. See it as a learning opportunity, because the benefits of Saturn are always better. If there is any legal things going on around this time, make sure it's structured, make sure you're disciplined with it, and make sure that it's by the book. Yeah. Because if there's any not by the book, I would be more worried for it. Yeah, around this time, make sure that it is really, really structured. When it comes to your faith, your religion, and all that stuff, I think it's really going to become obviously more responsible, more disciplined. You maybe don't start new faiths if you don't want to keep them up. Yeah, really be mature and responsible with what you're starting. But I would say with that, make sure your faith is built on experience and accountability. And again, any contracts or anything for your clients, make sure they're all good. Make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. I think for you around this time, Leo, the best thing for you is courses, coaches, mentors, and learning. Yeah? Learning the deeper meaning, seeing the bigger picture of the thing. When Saturn moves into your 10th house next, it's going to be about your authority and the things that you've learned just now, so you can become recognized for them, so you can become the thought leader. Yeah, so you need right now I'd be focusing on getting the mentors, getting the coaches, getting good at publishing, being structured with publishing. Don't just publish once and think that's it. Publish frequently. Like publish content, start a blog, start a podcast, start a YouTube channel, and start publishing. Start sharing your thoughts. Start sharing your philosophies, your faith, your beliefs with the world. Because that's going to help you when it comes into your 10th house. You become recognized then, yeah? So I think around this time as well, that's a really good thing to focus on. But I would say for you, if you've thought about, I maybe need to get a coach, or I maybe need to look at a mentor, or I maybe need to start a course. These are all very good things because it brings structure to your learning, yeah? Coaches bring accountability to your learning, and mentors and that are checking in with you, are keeping you on track, and it's structure, it's being responsible, it's taking ownership. And I've been in business for 15 years. I still have a coach, I still have a mentor that I see every single month to make sure I'm on track and to make sure that I'm improving and to make sure I'm being responsible and all that stuff. And I would say the best investment you will ever make in yourself and in your business. I would highly recommend that around this time. And if you have got, like, if you are thinking, like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, like, don't just say, I'm going to start a YouTube channel film. Yeah, you can do that. That's good as well. Stay consistent with it. But I would say, I'm going to start on YouTube and I'm going to get this course on YouTube and I'm going to do this course and I'm going to follow it by the T, because Saturn is really all about that structure. Yeah, and that will really help you around this time. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we are moving into your 8th house with this transit. The 8th house is another one of these darker houses, shall we say. But there is positives in it as well, because it's also a money house. So it's all to do with your marriage money, your business partner money, money from clients, even inheritance, the big chunks of money. Yeah, these things will maybe come into play over the next 2 years. And I think it's going to be more a better structure to your finances or your investments even. It's not so much the day-to-day finances, that's more the 2nd house. This is more the the generational wealth. That's where I would be putting a focus on here. Remember, Saturn's all about that long lasting. It's all about building things that are like long lasting. These bigger chunks of money, making sure that you're investing them. And I'd say around this time, passive income could become a thing for you. You might be looking at ways of making passive income. You might be starting to bring these into your business, bring them into your life. Like, that could be a good thing, like referrals and all that sort of stuff around this month, because it's other people's money that's coming to you, and that would be a good focus. Now, it is a darker house, like I said, and that's because it's quite a psychological house. Yeah, it's where your power comes from. It's you could see your fears, your traumas, and all these things resurface around this time, and it's more about like what's holding you back. What's stopping you stepping up? What's hidden? What can't you see? What's deep? What have you suppressed? What do you need to unearth around this time? And I would do this in a structured way. So either doing that with a healer or doing it with a therapist or doing it with even a coach, but having some sort of a structure to this could really, really help you around this time. You might find yourself with trust and control lessons around this time. So you might be like, your trust might be tested to see how you deal with it or to build stronger trust around this time. That might come up. You could also feel control. If you feel like you're manipulating things or holding on to things, like gripping for control of things, these could be tested around this time as well. And I would say with regards to finances again, things like debts, taxes, that sort of a thing come under the 8th house. Make sure you're being responsible here. Yeah. Make sure there's a structure in place to repay these debts. One thing I will say about transits in the 8th house, like this kind of a transit with Saturn, is I've heard and I've seen people clearing debts around this time. So if you have built up debts and you're like, and want to get rid of them, I'm not saying debt's a good thing or a bad thing. It depends on your circumstances, and it depends on what that debt is, and it depends on how you're using that debt and all these other things. But if you're being responsible with it, this is good. Saturn will reward that. And that goes to the same as well. Taxes. Make sure you're dealing with your taxes and being responsible in their structure. Get an accountant around this time, I would say. Let them deal with that stuff. And when it comes to your deeper relationships, your marriage, or if you're just in a one-to-one relationship, that you might get married around this time, but if you're not married, but you're in a deep one-to-one relationship, love relationship, around this time, you might find that you need to make sure there's boundaries. You need to make sure you're not gripping for control. You might see things where you're manipulating things, and there could be some power struggles around this time between people. So just be careful with that as well, because the 8th house is all about your struggles with power. So if you're trying to manipulate things, or if you're trying to control somebody to hold on to that deeper relationship, then around this time you might see that, and you might see the fears and the wounds and the traumas that have caused that, so you can deal with it. Secrets as well could come out at this time. Again, so if you're holding secrets from a partner, a business partner, any kind of partner, then this would be the time that it could come to light, and it could be a way of coming to light for you to deal with it. Yeah. Fears to watch out for around this is being scared to take up space and not feeling entitled, not feeling good enough. These kind of fears could surface around this time. And again, just watch out for power struggles, Virgo. This is one of these houses. It's quite hard because there's quite a lot into it. Because even then, you might find yourself wanting to go and learn about the occult. So it goes from one extreme to another. And I think there could be a lot of different themes coming up around this time. But for your business, I would definitely say looking into passive income, deepening your relationships with clients, watching for power struggles, watching for control issues, watch for people pleasing. Yeah. Watch for people pleasing, depending on what other things you've got going on in your chart. That could be a thing around this time. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. This is myself as well. So I'm a Libra rising, so I'm with you on this one. This could be a hard time. Yeah, it could be a hard time, and it's because Aries is in your 7th house. So it's your one-to-one relationships. It's your one-to-one partnerships. any kind of one-to-one relationship. Your first marriage, that comes under here as well. But those partnerships, yeah, it's not so much just a romantic fling now, it's more a dating thing. It's now that 7th house is more once it's become a serious relationship. And with clients as well, it's that one-to-one partnership. And if you have maybe been thinking about starting a business and you're maybe thinking, right, I want to do one-to-one work, this I would say go for it around this time, because you're going to put these structures in place and boundaries in place around this time to protect your energy from that one-to-one work, and making sure that it's structured and making sure that it's good. So you have thought about doing one-to-one work if you maybe previously done group, or if you've maybe previously taught groups, then maybe this is a thing to like say, right, okay, I do want to do one-to-one, but I want to do it in a structured, responsible and mature way. Make sure that there's systems, making sure that it's good, that sort of a thing. You could, with your relationships, they will be tested. If you are in a one-to-one relationship with anybody, it will be tested around this time. And that, again, power struggles could come on the back of that as well. I think as well, like with this, the relationships might become a little bit more mature. Like if you're single at this time, you might find yourself looking at the more mature person. You might find yourself being the more mature person in your relationship. There could be larger age gaps between you and the people you attract. So you could attract maybe somebody 7 years plus, 10 years plus. Like I've seen that happen with Saturn transits in the 7th house. And I think it's that if you are somebody who is more like looks, going for the looks, being a little bit like that might fade around this time. You might be like, oh, do you know what? I can see deeper than that. I really like this person's personality. I really like what they stand for. You see the bigger picture in relationships, which is a lovely thing. But I think what's the word I'm looking for? It could be guilty. That sort of like going for looks, that sort of appearance, being drawn to appearance, that might sort of fade around this time. And it might be more about like forming that deeper bond with somebody, learning about their personality more, and like you might be more open to give other people a try. Give other relationships a try that you maybe haven't thought about in the past. Like I said, larger age gaps, 7 years plus maybe. I think it's about, if you think you're in a relationship and you're like, oh, like I don't know if this is long term, but I'm just going to stick with it. Yeah, I'm going to see if something develops. I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I would be like, right, is this for me or is it not? And if the answer is, well, I need time, then probably it's not going to get better. Yeah, like if you're in a relationship, you want to make sure that there's that long-term commitment. You're not thinking of jumping ship. Yeah, that you actually want to be in this relationship. And it's not just, I need time. Because that's just you buying time at that time. And at the end of the day, it's not going to last long lasting if you're like that. So around this time, focus on the longer term commitments. The ones that are, like we said, with Gemini in the 11th, who've got it with friends, it's more about substance here. Yeah, you want your relationships to have substance. Like if it's just a surface level thing like appearance, that's not going to cut it around this time, Libra. You need to really think about the thing as a whole here. Yeah, like the whole person, the spiritual, the personality, the hobbies and all that stuff. These are like 5th house themes, but you want to make sure that you can gel with all these things and build a really, really strong relationship. If you are getting married around this time, make sure everything, all the I's are crossed, dotted, all the T's are crossed. Make sure it's by the book. Legal things have to be done properly. And watch out for people pleasing around this time, Libra. You might feel a little bit cautious to start relationships. I think because you've got that long-term vision, you might be a little bit like, should I? Because this is quite a big decision now. Like that's you might have that change in mindset where you're like, I don't know. Like I do like this person. Unless it's a hell yes, it's a no, if you ask me. Yeah. Especially when it comes to that side of things where you're going to spend your life with somebody, potentially. And I would be looking at relationships, like serious relationships. If it's not serious when Saturn's transit in this house, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would keep friends maybe, but definitely wouldn't be thinking of a relationship. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, we are moving into your 6th house. And I've actually got some personal experience this year with this one because I have just had Saturn in my 6th house. So I will give you as much as I can to warn you, but I had it in Pisces, so it will be a little bit different. So with this, it's all about bringing discipline, structure, and boundaries to your habits, your routines, the work you do. Like the 10th house is more about what you're known for. This is about the actual physical, the way you serve people. Yeah. Your health becomes a thing here, and pets as well. You might find yourself getting a new pet around this time. You might find yourself going for that older pet that you maybe rescue around this time. Just be aware with whatever you're doing. Yeah, whatever these routines are for, whatever these systems are for, expect delays. Expect delays and you will be fine. Yeah? Things take longer. If you're starting a new YouTube channel to try and bring you clients and that's part of a system, expect it to take longer. Expect the growth to take longer. But don't give up. Yeah? Don't just expect it to take the 2 years that Saturn's there. You need to commit to something for 2 years. If you're going to commit to a new thing, a habit, or for your health or whatever, just say, I'm doing this for 2 years. You might as well find around this time, your workload might increase at work, or if you've got your own business, you might find yourself taking on more work. And I think it's to test your sustainability. Yeah, that's what it is. It's to show you where you need structure, systems, and all that stuff in. It's where you could be maybe working smarter and not harder. You might feel tested around this. And I definitely feel tested around this with my 6th house transit. Because for me, I had a marketing agency where I was doing the work for the clients, and I ended up over the last year became really, really difficult. And then I ended up getting rid of all my done for you clients, or they got rid of me. And I was pushed to like breaking point. I was like, right, I burnt out emotionally because the systems that I had in place, they weren't sustainable. Yeah. They weren't sustainable for long-term growth. And that's meant that when I've came to building my business now, where I'm building, like I've worked with coaches, like doing their marketing for the last 15 years. Whereas now I'm more educating coaches, I'm more coaching coaches to build a stronger foundation with their business, to make sure they're not burning out from the work, to make sure they've got the systems in place that I have learned over the last 15 years. But this is the thing, you will feel your productivity being tested. And that happened for me now. There was a lot more to it than just I didn't have strong systems, because it wasn't so much about my systems. It was more about the things that I was doing in my life that were impacting on the systems that worked, because I lost my 2 cats, which meant that I was grieving, and I plowed into work. Yeah. I didn't deal with it. So there was no systems in place to allow me time for my health. That was the first thing to take into consideration here. I was in a relationship that I was giving my work time away for to spend time with the relationship, or to do things with the relationship. Again, your workload's increased and I'm taking time away and doing all that stuff. So there were other factors here that made the sustainability of it not possible. So I had no emotional support from my partner. I seen that it wasn't the best relationship. That broke up. I still plowed into work, and it got to the stage that I was just like burning out big style. Yeah. And that's where I've obviously learned throughout that time now, dealing with burnout, learning about like how to use my systems better and stuff. So that's what it's all about. And it's about how do you like come out from that situation. And it's about serving without resentment. I've wrote that down as well, because I think the clients that I did have as the done for you, it was always like, oh, I can't be bothered with this. I can't see this bad enough. If I have to create another funnel, if I have to create another this, if I have to create another that, I'm going to scream. Whereas there could have been tools and services out there that I use now in my business that would have made that a lot easier. But at that time, I was definitely resented that business. I knew that will be tested. When it comes to physical and mental health, if you're starting any rituals or routines or systems in place for these things, stick to them, make them consistent, make rituals, make systems. And always think consistently here, Scorpio. Always think consistently. If you're thinking of starting a new social media platform, consistency. If you're thinking of starting an email list or emailing, consistency. These are all systems that can bring people into your world, into your business, but they only work if you do them consistently. This could be a time for you to as well as look at automating your business to give you more time back. Remember, Saturn is one long lasting, but he wants you to work smart. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we are moving into your 5th house. Now, this is usually a nice house, yeah? And I think this is going to be one of the hardest transits for, like, or do you think you're going to get one of the hardest? No, I don't. Yeah? I don't think so. I think you might have some struggles or hardships with children. Your children, yeah? You could see some problems, like if there's like boundaries that are loose, or if there's no structure, or if there's discipline issues. You could be tested around this time, Sagittarius, with children. You might take a more structured approach to conceiving children as well. If you're not got any children, that could happen around this time. I think the biggest thing, if you're single, or even if you're in a relationship, I think you're going to have more structured romance, more discipline. Like, okay, this is like, there'll be a little bit more structure to it. But if you're single, especially, I think, like I said, for Libra, I think that it'll be less about looks and more about connection. I think it's more substance here. Yeah. And for you, Sagittarius, that's that doesn't like to be tied down and doesn't like these things and likes to be able to be a free spirit. Like, I think for you, you will notice that you can do all that stuff and have that independence and still have a mature, committed relationship. I think it's going to be less about hookups and dating. Like, I think you're going to maybe feel the need to want to get serious around this time rather than just a quick fling. I think when it comes to expressing yourself, whether that be creatively or whether that be physically or whatever, I think you're going to be more disciplined and responsible there. I think if you maybe say, like, I'm going to make sure I'm giving my time to do my arts, to do my hobbies, to do these, if you're a creative person, if you're a creative entrepreneur as well, if you're like, this is a good time, if you've got a hobby that you want to make more serious and want to turn it into a business, I would absolutely go for that around this time, Sagittarius. Because you're going to be supported, yeah, with Saturn's responsibility, mature. You're going to build a business that's built to last. And I think that that's awesome for you, Sagittarius. When it comes to especially you've been doing that creativity or you've been doing that hobby for a lengthy period of time and you're just really, really good at it. Thinking about being more serious, making it more serious, like, this is a thing that I could actually monetize my passions around this time. Aries energy is very entrepreneurial. Watch out for escapism. Like I said, we've got Neptune there. You might find that, I know I've just said you might be drawn to more serious relationships, serious romance, serious dating. However, when things get tough, you might want to escape reality by having flings and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying, yeah? Like, the pleasurable side of a romance, that might become a way of escaping reality with Neptune being there. So just be careful that that's not a thing. Like, Saturn will reward you if you are forming more serious connections around this time. I think for your business here, if you are like if you've got an existing business and you're looking at ways to like use this energy, branding is the thing to look at. How can you express yourself through your brand? You might want to upgrade your branding if you've been maybe like, I don't know, what can I use as an example? Somebody who's maybe been like, if they've got a blog and they've maybe had pastel colors, they might want to be more contrasting, more grown up now, where they've got more like black, whites, greys, that sort of a thing, rather than like the pastel pink and pastel green and all these sort of things. These things, that kind of an upgrade might happen over time, or you might choose like, right, well, I want to work with this energy, so I'm going to mature my branding, my physical branding to reflect this era that I'm now going into, where I am maturing in this area. Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Rising. For you, we are going into your 4th house, which is your physical home. We're going into your real house here, Capricorn. It's also your inner security, your private life, your emotional roots, and your ancestry as well comes in here as well. So for you, I think there could be that little bit of taking time for solitude at home, like being more private, keeping things more hidden in the home. These things, you could bring more structure that allows that to happen. So you've got a separation between the outside world and home. That sort of a thing, not so much like being private just to be like, because it's vulnerable, more just like, this is the boundary between the outside world and my inner security in my life. Yeah, that sort of a boundaries, I would say, around this time. You might find that family responsibilities will increase around this time. I've heard of people saying that their parents have maybe moved in with them, or an elderly grandparent or something's moved in with them around this time. So you might notice that with Saturn transiting your 4th house. I think one thing to really have a think about is, what does home mean for you? Like, what is your boundaries at home? What is your structures like at home? What is your systems like? Do you have systems? Are they like, especially if you get kids, and kids like can be a whirlwind, and so having boundaries in place, having structures for the actual physical home, so that it runs and you can maintain it and things. If there is maintenance, these things could come up around this time. I think this is a good time, like any childhood wounds or family wounds from the past, these might resurface around this time. Again, these are not to make you get stuck. They're there for you to, okay, I need to face this, I need to move it through, and I need to move on from this. And I think around this time, this could be more linked to any family trauma or any things from family that you've had in the past, or ancestral patterns could come up around this time. You might find yourself wanting to, like I said, with maintenance and stuff like that around home, you might find yourself actually wanting to renovate, restructure, get new windows, new doors. These big jobs might become like more apparent around this time. You might even want to invest in property around this time, because it is like, that's a more serious Saturnian thing to do, is to invest in property when it's in your 4th house. So you might actually find yourself looking for investment properties around this time, which I think is good. It's like, eventually it's going to make its way to your 8th house, where if you've got investments in place that are long lasting and good, and you're not just doing the quick wins, like to try and make a quick buck from property, that will not work. But if you're actually investing in it for like over the next, like to build generational wealth, then 100% Capricorn, I would go for that around this time. And like I said, I just want to touch on the solitude bit again, because I think that is important. Yeah, I think solitude around this time could be really, really important for you. And not to seclude yourself, but just having time for yourself, for your family. Yeah, where you get to be the Capricorn that we don't see. Yeah, have a definition between that. That's maybe where I think that you'll be working on that over the next 2 years, Capricorn. Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Rising. For you, Saturn is moving into your 3rd house. Your 3rd house is all to do with early education, your school education, your siblings, your community, your neighbours, extended family can come in here, aunts and uncles and that sort of things too. It's all about the way you communicate with the world, the way you communicate with people in your circle, the way that you learn, the early kind of learning. Like the ninth house is more the deeper beliefs. The third house is the surface level, the theory stuff, before you actually go and get practical and find meaning for everything. Yeah? So with that, like the first bit of advice I would give, especially if you're like any sort of public facing role, is to watch how you're communicating. Be structured with your communicating. Start to learn how to formulate your thoughts and really become a master at communication with Saturn being there. And that would be something around this time, because with Aries, you can maybe be a little bit quicker with your words, but Saturn really wants you to slow down and think and take structured communication. And again, structured learning, coaches, courses, mentors, all that sort of stuff around this time. Making sure that you're actually learning and not just taking it in and then storing it in the surface level and then moving on. It's about taking it in, deep learning around this time. I would say, when it comes to communication, again, watch your words. I say, just communicate clearly. And that's not just when you're speaking to people in front of you. That comes down to, like, if you were writing blog posts or writing anything, make sure it's clear, make sure it's readable, make sure it's all these things. I would say around this time is a good time to think about public speaking as well. Once you've worked on your communication, make sure it's clear. Once you've mastered your communication, I would say public speaking could be a good thing for you around this time, Aquarius. Journaling as well, getting these thoughts out of your head and onto paper so that you can start to formulate them and start to make something of them around this time. It's not quite going as deep as the ninth house here, but it is about starting to bring structure to that sort of thought and communication and all that stuff, and getting out of your head where you're able to then look at it and see it and mold it so you can build and become deeper and all that sort of stuff with your communication is a good thing. I would say I have got a blog, but I wouldn't say it's one of my platforms to attract clients. It does bring me some clients, but I would say I like it for the being able to formulate what I'm going to teach and be able to formulate my thoughts and being able to dump my thoughts and then like working through them. And then I'll publish, yeah? Which is another thing to think about, right? Because like, it's not so much publishing, the big style of publishing. This is more like local level. But a blog, getting a blog or like just a way of publishing your thoughts, I think that's great for journaling. For me, it's more self-care than client acquisition. But I would say, Jeff, that's a good thing around this time. And again, when it comes to learning anything, making sure that you've got structure. When it comes to relationships as well, with siblings, extended family, neighbors, you might find that you start to mature in these relationships. You might start to take a more mature role, which isn't a bad thing. With neighbors, you might start to find that, oh, well, this is part of my community. These are my close circle. Like, they stay next door to me. Like, we should be helping each other. You might take a more responsible role. If you've got that elderly neighbor, you might feel the need to want to go and help. Or like, if she needs anything, if you're going, I'm going to the shops, do you need me to pick up some milk or anything? Do you need anything? You might find yourself wanting to do things like that. Again, if you're going to do anything like these sort of things, just make sure you're not just doing it for, I need to get my good deed in for the day. I'm doing this for the long term. Like, I want to support my community. I want to support my neighbors. I want to be that person that can be there and help. Same with siblings. Yeah. Like, you might find yourself becoming, like, creating a more stronger relationship with your brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, and that around this time. But just remember, you have to invest into these relationships too, Aquarius. It's not just about what else you're like. It's not about them doing all the work here. Saturn wants you to invest in the relationships, that you keep close to you. There could be some things as well, some difficult relationships that you maybe have to think, right, is this for me or is it not? So that's something to, like, when it comes to siblings, extended family, community, neighbors, that sort of a thing. You might find yourself having some difficult relationships. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, for you, Saturn is going to be transiting through your second house. And this is all about your material possessions, your finances, your day-to-day. The 8th house is more the financial investments, other people's money. This is the money you earn. This is the money that you bring in, and the money that is more day-to-day finances sort of stuff. And I think around this time for you, the first thing I would say is you could definitely end up with a financial reality check. You could get that little bit of, oh, do I actually have enough to sustain things here? Am I actually getting charged what I'm worth? Like, am I actually earning what I'm worth at the moment? There could be that sort of like, because it's the second house is to do with your self-worth as well. You might be like, oh, am I worthy of these things? Am I worthy of these material possessions? And I think with financial, the things that, think long term. Yeah. If you're going to do something financial, make sure that you're doing it for the long term. You're not doing it for a quick buck. You're doing it for the long term. Make sure you've got that long-term financial plan. Again, with you, I would say look into accountants around this time. Get their opinion on your finances, your day-to-day finances, because that's going to help with the 8th house long-term as well. I think around this time is to think about the things that you really stand for, because the 2nd house is your values. And when it comes to your personal brand, you want to stand by them publicly. Yeah. And if you're just saying it because you want to be cool, or you just want to get the views, or you just want to if you're not doing it for the right reasons, you might notice around this time, Saturn's like, right, we need to check. We need to look at these we need to put boundaries in place for a start. You need to make sure things are good. Yes, you want to take that action and make sure you're talking about the things that you believe in, but do you actually believe in these things, or are you seeing it for the views, the likes, and all these things? Yeah, it's about building that more authentic personal brand here around this time. And another thing is, you might feel the urge to do some money mindset stuff around this time. I would say that that's a good call, actually, because it's bringing structure to your money mindset, because you're actually maybe do a course, maybe do some sort of learning, go and speak to a coach, a mentor for money around this time, because it's bringing structure. It's making you're taking responsible action for your finances. That could be another thing. But moving from that, or maybe even a manifestation coach, because it's all about moving from scarcity to abundant. Yeah, you want to stop thinking of lack and start thinking more abundance. You want to stop thinking that everything's getting taken away from you, especially your finances, that everything is coming to you. That sort of a thing, you might find yourself starting to embrace that mentality a little bit more. When it comes to saving and spending, you might find yourself being more structured. Instead of just saying, I'll save what I can, you might say, no, I'm going to start putting this away every single month, or I'm going to start putting this away every single week, or whatever it is. I'm going to start, and it's going to be through a bank, and it's going to be a direct debit, and all these things, like automatic even. There could be systems and structures and all that put in place to make sure that you're saving here, Pisces. Again, I think when it comes to spending, I think you might want to, but definitely not think about, oh, I'll just buy that because it's cool. Yeah. Actually, I buy that because you can see the long-term effects of buying it. Yeah. It's not about buying for quickness and all the wee sort of materially sort of things here. It's about buying things that actually mean something. Yeah. Having material possessions. I could see a lot of people getting into minimalism around this time. Like when I don't actually see the need for these things, so let's just get them out. Yeah. And I could see minimalism becoming a thing. I'm not saying you're going to be so like an extreme minimalist or anything, but I could see material possessions. You maybe Marie Kondo your house a little bit more around this time, Pisces. And I think with whatever, the last thing I'll say, Pisces, is delayed gratification at everything, especially when finances. You're in this for the long haul, Pisces. Just think like that. If it's a short-term strategy to try and make your quick buck, I wouldn't bother, because it'll feel restrictive. It'll feel like it's taken forever, and it's just not worth it. When you focus on the long term, however, it may take a little bit of time to gather momentum, but it'll pay off in the longer term.